Hey basketball guys, we have news. Let's go to more news from the Golden State Warriors, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Many NBA players are not in the top 10 of the draft, but are successful on their teams and become great players, as is the case with Brandon Podziemski. He was the 19th pick in the draft. The Warriors bet on Brandon Podziemski, and it worked. Several NBA teams are interested in this young man who is seen as a future star and want to involve him in some exchange. But the Warriors owner said Brandon Podziemski is non-negotiable. Several NBA teams want to sign Brandon Podziemski, and one of them is the Utah Jazz, who tried to sign him in exchange for Lauri Markkanen. Joe Lacob, who owns the Warriors, declares again he will not trade Brandon Podziemski with anyone. The Warriors have found their future in Brandon Podziemski. Change is inevitable for every NBA organization. Even the Golden State Warriors, the league's latest dynasty over the last decade, could not escape this. Mike Dunleavy Jr. and his Warriors front office faced many tough decisions in the offseason before the 2024-25 season, one of which involved Klay Thompson's 13-year run with the team coming to an end. Another revolved around the team's identity next to Stephen Curry. More specifically, whether or not it was time to sacrifice parts of the young core, like Brandon Podziemski, for solidified all-star talents. It was no surprise to see Golden State go big game hunting during the summer. With cap flexibility and open roster spots with the departures of Thompson and Chris Paul, there was a path to the Warriors adding more talent around Curry and Draymond Green in order to fully commit themselves to capitalizing on however many years the league's all-time best three-point shooter has left. Winning with Curry is this organization's only priority, hence the aggressive approach to pursuing Paul George and Lauri Markkanen in off-season trade talks with the Los Angeles Clippers and Utah Jazz, respectively. Still, the idea of giving up the young core they have worked so hard to build through the draft over the years took a toll on the Warriors' brain trust. Was giving up various draft picks and a player like Podziemski, a standout rookie performer during the 2023-24 season, or Jonathan Kuminga truly worth adding an all-star talent like George or Markkanen? The simple answer, and the one Golden State gave, was no, due to the talent and depth that would have been lost. Podziemski is a player the Warriors truly value, and after just one season, he's already viewed as a potential all-star by owner Joe Lacob. It was a revelation, to be quite honest, Lacob said of his young guard's play during NBA Summer League in Las Vegas. "We're really excited. We think we have a future all-star. We really do." The idea of Podziemski becoming a future all-star is still very relevant to everyone associated with the Warriors. Between his do-it-all mentality on the court and his two-way intensity, the 21-year-old has already carved out a pivotal role in the backcourt next to Curry. Despite his name appearing in trade rumors this offseason connected to George and Markkanen, Podziemski did not let the outside noise get to him. In fact, these trade discussions have helped make him a better player due to the confidence Golden State instilled in him by refusing to include him in dialogue for George or Markkanen. It is definitely a great feeling because it is the reassurance that you need as a player that isn't always clear in this league. It shows that what I did over the course of an 82-game season as a rookie is valued not only by the Warriors but across the league as well, Podziemski told Clutch Points in an exclusive interview. "You are fighting for what you want, but you are also seeing what you are putting out there in terms of production is valued. It was cool, and not cool, to see my name involved in talks for all-star players. I love the Warriors, but seeing those trade rumors over the summer gives me the reassurance from the rest of the teams that I am as good as I believe I can be." Podziemski understands that the NBA is a business and that very few players in the league are untouchable when it comes to trade talks. Even though George and Markkanen are great players, the Warriors were unwilling to tie their young guard to these trade rumors, signaling their long-term plans for the former 19th overall pick. "Seeing my name attached to those trade rumors proves I found a high level of success to this point. Sure, it was cool to see that, but it was even better to see my organization say that they value me and say this is what our future is. The quest to greatness is not one that is so easy to achieve in the NBA. Luckily for Podziemski, his path to becoming everything the Warriors dream of has been forged through lessons taught by some of the best. Curry, Thompson, Green, and head coach Steve Kerr understand what it takes to compete for championships, and they have all had their impact on Podziemski's growth since he entered the league last year. As a result of the time they spend in the backcourt together, nobody has been a bigger influence on Podziemski than Curry. Stephen Curry's off-season influence on Brandon Podziemski. You can't tell the tale of the Warriors as a franchise without thoroughly detailing the legacy that Curry has left on the game of basketball. His three-point shooting is one thing, but Curry changed everything by proving that basketball isn't a game dominated by tall or big players. Podziemski is the type of player he is because of Curry's contributions, and the fact that he now plays alongside him with Golden State is even better. While he is not a traditional point guard because of his first instincts to shoot, Steph changes the game in a positive way for his teammates. As a result of all the attention he draws, Curry opens up the floor offensively for the Warriors to have the free-flowing movement they possess on offense. When one guy passes the ball, everyone else is constantly moving, which creates confusion for the opposition. With Podziemski in the fold, a player who is always looking to slash towards the rim and create movement off the ball when he is in charge of the offense, Curry's impact grows even more. These two guards have resonated with one another, and their ability to play off one another has created a new dynamic for the Warriors offensively. After losing in the play-in tournament a season ago, this offseason was a time for Golden State to rejuvenate and get back to being who they are. For Curry and Podziemski, their offseason regime and motivation were fueled by all of the external noise that doubted their abilities. Bulletin board material is a good way to put it, Podziemski noted in regards to why many believed the Warriors were primed to take a step back. I was always talking with Steph during the offseason, and we sent a ton of stuff to one another that we saw on social media. Most of it was just people not believing in us. There were all the trade rumors that came up with Lauri Markkanen and Paul George, as well as people getting on some of our guys for their struggles or whatever they saw in off-season workout posts on social media. But we are competitors, and as long as Steph Curry is on the court, you have a chance to win literally anything. Knowing that, and the confidence that he instills in everyone around him, it's just extra motivation. Other than staying in the gym and sending the laughable hot takes on social media to Curry, Podziemski was with the Warriors star during his first run at the 2024 Summer Olympics in France. From working out in the gym to experiencing the French culture together, Podziemski and Curry continued to strengthen their bond with one another overseas. Although he was not on Team USA's roster, Podziemski was physically there at the Olympics as a support system for Curry, just as the veteran had been there for him throughout his rookie year in the NBA. Curry may forever be known as one of the greatest players in league history, but even he needed a little advice from his Padawan during the Olympics before the world witnessed arguably the greatest Olympic performance ever. I actually shared a bunch of experiences with him in France this summer when I was there for the Olympics. Through the early parts of the pool play games, he was struggling. We talked a lot about what was going on and how the differences in the international game were getting to him a little bit, Podziemski explained. Basically, before the quarterfinal game against Brazil, he promised that he was going to turn things around. The rest is history, as we once again witnessed that man's greatness on the basketball court. It was something to see. As Curry claimed the gold medal with USA Basketball, both his focus and that of Podziemski's quickly pivoted back to the upcoming season. With a ton of new faces arriving and Thompson leaving, there was definitely a different feel in the Warriors' practice facility ahead of training camp. At the same time, this organization underwent major changes after missing the playoffs during the 2020-21 season, which ultimately led to them reclaiming the Larry O'Brien Championship trophy over the Boston Celtics the following year in the 2022 NBA Finals. The clock is ticking for Curry now that he is 36 years old. Although he is still playing at an MVP-type level, age will catch up to Steph eventually. With 4 championships forever tied to his name, nothing would be sweeter than once again getting back to the playoffs and staking claim to a 5th championship after previously missing the playoffs. For Podziemski, helping Curry and the Warriors get back to the playoffs is his main priority. More importantly, that 5th ring is what is on both Podziemski and Curry's minds. You could say what he did in the Olympics set the tone for us this season, but I think he just understands that he only has so much time left to give to the game, Podziemski said. If he is to get that 5th ring he is searching for, it puts him in a whole different category of greatness and legendary status, more than he already has.